getting hot in here. The Fires of Pompeii. Yes, folks, it is time for another overdue Doctor Who review. But first, allow me to just bring your attention to the fact that this review is brought to you by Radio vs. the Martians. This is a podcast hosted by Mike Gillis and Casey Doran as they talk about all manner of geeky stuff. They talk comics, they talk movies, TV, Star Trek, Star Wars, superheroes, Ghostbusters, Conan the Barbarian, in fact, the entire oeuvre of Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's all up for grabs. They have good guests. They have great discussions. They're often funny, and they can even at times be insightful. Check them out at radioversusthemartians.com or wherever you get your podcasts. I think I'm getting the hang of this. So, Fires of Pompeii. Donna's first actual jaunt in the TARDIS, to somewhere notably different from where she's used to being. And again, as before, the Doctor and Donna, mwah! Like, I love these two together so much. I like the grief that she gives him. I like the fact that she's just not going to take no for an answer from him. That she knows he's an amazing guy, but she is not in awe of him. If he gives her an answer she doesn't like, she's going to let him know that. Like, immediately. It's so terrific. And also watching this one was interesting, spotting the actors who would come back later in the show, because we've got Karen Gillan playing one of the soothsayers in the Sibylline Sisterhood, and then we, of course, have Peter Capaldi as, what was it, Caecilius? I think that's what it was. I'm getting the Roman names jumbled in my head now, but he was in it, and so that's kind of fun to watch that all pan out. This one, I think the fact that I tend to resonate at this point in my life more with the emotional angles of things than used to be the case. I think I actually have a better appreciation for this episode than I did the first time I watched it. And I enjoyed it pretty well the first time I watched it. But I, especially towards the end with Donna's plea to the Doctor, that choked me up, because you could see the desperation, and also he had already made his decision that he can't do anything. But there's something, well, first of all, the performances are astounding, and then there's just the fact that he needed someone to remind him that just because you can't save everyone doesn't mean you can't save anyone. And these quote-unquote small lives have value too. And if you can save just this one family, that doesn't undo everything else that is happening. But it's something. And if he can do it, he should. And he does, with Donna's promptings. And I really do enjoy that. I do feel really bad for poor Peter Capaldi, though, because he had to try it, and he tries so hard to sell this awful line of, it's like some sort of volcano. Like, and he's trying to be all emotional during this moment. I'm like, oh God, that line, that hurt. The other thing that this kind of reminded me of is that while they're all tied to one thing, the Series 4 actually has multiple mystery boxes cooking away. And what I mean by that, because I've used this term before, so let me define it as I mean it when I talk about Doctor Who. Doctor Who series arc structure, by and large, has conformed to what I call a mystery box, which is something that is hinted at, named, or otherwise indicated early on in the series, and then repeatedly across it until we find out exactly what is going on with whatever that thing is in the finale. So in series 1, it would be Bad Wolf. In series 2, it would be Torchwood. Series 3, Vote Saxon. And then later on, there's things like the Cracks in Time, the Hybrid, the Vault, all sorts of stuff like that. Series 4 actually kind of has 3 at least, because, well, one of them is very sneaky. And you only kind of realize it in hindsight. But it's got planets being lost, which, has now been coming up 2 episodes in a row. You've got, from the previous episode, you have Rose, and it's like, wait, what's going on there? And then you've got the bees disappearing. And it's kind of interesting that they have those separate things cooking away until they kind of pull together. I think the bees disappearing is the one that you can miss, because it is at the very least initially just brought up by Donna, like, oh yeah, and the bees are disappearing, and the doctor's like, what? Oh, but then they're busy with other stuff. But we get the reiteration of planets disappearing, planets being lost, planets being stolen. The Pyroviles are decent. They work pretty well. If the overall setting and the performances from the supporting, I mean the family that Peter Capaldi is the head of, they are very solid. I enjoy them quite a bit. The sisterhood is fine. Here was something that I found myself thinking as it went on. This kind of poked that nerve that I have that frequently with depictions of people with some kind of religious faith in media. Now, this seems like an odd episode for me to bring this up as a subject, because, I mean, like, it's ancient Rome. What are we even going on about? But, God, let's see if I can explain this in a way that conveys what's on my mind. So, something that tends to bother me in general, and you see it most often in depictions of Christians, or at least I see it most often in that, is basically treating having faith almost like it's a mental disability. Like they see something and then react in a way that like makes absolutely no sense, but gets justified with, oh, but they have faith. So, or, just behave in a very buffoonish manner that is validated by, oh, it's because of their faith. And I'm like, and that just tends to bother me. And so within the context of this episode, the reason I'm bringing this up is that, and like, for the record, I don't have a formalized faith. I wasn't brought up as anything. So this isn't like they're making fun of my religion. I don't have a religion. It's just low-hanging fruit cheap shots, and I just don't enjoy it. But anyways, so coming back to this, why I felt this was relevant to bring up is, so we've got, the seers, we've got the Sibylline Sisterhood, we've got the town soothsayer, and for those characters, I am okay, because for them, their faith is like their job. So, like, I'm prepared to buy that they sort of go a little bit more all in on this stuff. But when average, everyday people, so like when this big rockin' magma monster shows up in this house and a servant just goes, the gods walk among us, and wanders towards this thing in order to get burned up and prove how deadly this thing is, I immediately kind of go, no. Because I don't care what your faith is. If you see a giant magma monster, even if such a thing is justified by your religious beliefs, if you are a normal human being, your first thought is going to be, ah, crap, and you run. Like, maybe later you validate it in your head, but you don't just go, oh, the gods walk among us. It gets justified as a combination of, it gets treated as if faith makes people stupid, and that people bought into faith to a degree much greater in the past than they do now. And I think, honestly, in many cases, that's debatable. My own thinking is that people in a time like ancient Rome probably took their faith about as seriously as most people now do, which is to say they use it as a guiding principle. They use it to fill in some gaps for some things that don't make sense, but it doesn't like override rationality. Because I think like if most people, even deeply religious people, saw a burning figure in the sky, they wouldn't just wander towards it and go, an angel! They go, oh my God, and run! So, I don't know. I don't know why I'm sticking on this so long, but for some reason it really irked me this time. So, I don't know. I've gone on some weird tangents the last couple of episodes. I don't know why this stuff's sticking in my craw. Let's get back to Doctor Who. Not all of the effects have aged especially well, but some of these are CGI heavy. That said, the designs are pretty good, unlike the big rock magma monsters, which I mentioned, so those are working pretty well. I like the Doctor having to make the kind of call that he that he never wanted to have to make again, which is to be trading lives, to make the decision these 20,000 people are going to die in order to save billions of other lives. And you can see the pain. You can see how much he hates having to make that decision. And I like that he couldn't do it until Donna helped. And that Donna, the person begging him to stop the volcano or to evacuate the city, and him saying, no, I can't, helps him set that off because she knows it has to happen. And she knows he needs help. This is not something she wants either. But this is how it needs to be. And that she is willing to literally put a hand out and help her friend do something that is really hard for him. That's a great moment. I love that a lot. They really kind of do put Donna through the emotional ringer like right off the bat. Like, it's pretty standard that the companion gets put into physical danger immediately. But they between this and the next episode, they give Donna a rough go of it emotionally right off the bat. Which, again, I think speaks in a lot of ways to her strength as a character. That, she would come back after what she goes through. These first few goes with the Doctor. I think I might wrap it up about there. I know I went on that tangent there. I do like this episode. I like ancient Rome and ancient Greece, like, as settings, both aesthetically and as a general vibe. So I'm a little bit of a sucker for it. It's not an amazing episode. It has a couple of key great moments. Again, largely focused on the Doctor and Donna, but also, like, some of the guest stars do very well. Like Capaldi and that family of characters, they feel like a proper family, and that works well, and that helps sell the emotionality of the ending of the episode quite well, too. So, let's wrap it up on that note, I think. The Fires of Pompeii! You seen it? What do you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. There's a whole bunch of stuff to do down there, such as, for instance, consider supporting me on Patreon. You can get a look at what's coming up for planned videos early. You can help vote on what topics are going to be. Access to the Discord, all sorts of stuff. So give a look at that. Plus, there's merch, links to social media, the book I wrote, all kinds of things. You can click on these things and they'll take you places where you can do stuff. You also don't need to do that. I'd appreciate it, but it's okay. You don't have to. Because at the end of the day, it's you who are the council, and me, I'm just the weirdo in cosplay who runs the meetings. So until next time, this council is adjourned.